Well, hello, welcome to Digital Influence. I'm Dallas McMillan, and today I've got the pleasure of interviewing Preston Rahn. So Preston is a #1 best-selling author, speaker, and coach. He's sold millions of dollars worth of coaching, consulting, and done-for-you services, and 3 to 5 day events. And he's one of the top enrollment specialists in the world. So it's a pleasure to have you here, Preston. Welcome on the show.
Hey, thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So this is part of our series on high ticket sales. And, I've really been deep diving into how you sell high ticket products and services online. And, what struck me really early on was that the coaching industry has really nailed this. And as I've implemented this in my own business and for clients, I've come to see that the the magic ingredients are the right offer and the enrollment conversation. And I'm so happy to have you here because they are your areas of specialty that you've really mastered those areas. So tell us a bit about you and your business and what you do.
Well, a lot of my clients, they put like 3 to 5 day events on, and like really how it started was they have been generating leads for their coaching business, and they needed somebody to take the leads and enroll them into the coaching program. So that's kind of where I stepped in. I had my own marketing business for a while, and then I went to work for a sales training company. And, being the entrepreneur that I am, I broke off, away from that, broke off onto my own and did my own sales training. And that kind of turned into, I knew my clients were like these high level people, these 7 and multi-7 figure people, but they didn't really see the need for my services. So the way that I got into working with them is I came in to do their sales. Like I would go and approach them and say, hey, I can train you how to improve your sales. And they would be like, well, why don't I just give you the leads and you just do the sales for me for a percentage? And that's kind of how it started. I just saw there was a need for that. And so over the years, I've done thousands, I've done over 2,500 enrollment conversations, and I've really mastered it. And, just happy to be here to share it with you guys.
Awesome. And so tell us a bit more about your clients and what sort of scenarios they're using to enroll clients, because obviously, as we'll talk about later, you can't just have the enrollment conversation cold. There's a whole marketing process beforehand, and these guys, they're putting on live events, but there's been a funnel before that. So perhaps you can just tell us a bit about, where you fit in and what's happened beforehand, because that'll give people context.
So, the way that I work is that I reverse engineer from the end. So my role in that whole process is at the end. So, if a lead comes to me and, they're not like pre-sold, like if I have to like explain why they're there, there's a problem with how they got there. And so that's really how it kind of started, is that a lot of these people would have these funnels in place, and of course, they get sales, so they think it works, but they have gaps in their process and they just don't see them. So, for me being in that position at the end, reverse engineering everything, 80% of the success in the enrollment conversation or more is going to be because of that marketing funnel. And really it's going to be because of the informational piece or pieces that the prospect or lead gets in order to move through that process to get to you, like whatever their information they're getting, that needs to be really sound. It really needs to explain the who, what, why, where, when, all that kind of stuff, and really just drill that point down, get that point across. So when those leads come to me and they're not like, yeah, I'm so excited to be here for this call, like I might say something like, let's say I'm working for you, Dallas. Let's just say, hey, so you understand that you're here to see if working with Dallas is a good fit or not, as a coach or a mentor. And if they say something right, like, because think about it, as a salesperson, do I want to sit through an hour-long conversation and talk to these people, and then at the end they go, oh, well, I wasn't really here for hiring a mentor, I was just here to just talk with you. Like, as a salesperson, I get paid for those conversations. So like how many, like, if you knew up front that that wasn't going to be that conversation, like, how many of those conversations would you have? None. So I just asked that up front, like, you know, do you understand why you're here? You know, tell me why you're here. You know, what's the reason that you're here? And
Cool.
if it has nothing to do with that, then, you know, I know immediately that there's something wrong in that marketing funnel. So then I
Yeah,
just go
awesome.
back, and that's where I can reverse engineer. Like, why did that person say, no, I don't understand? Or why did they say I'm here just for a free coaching session? Was that message conveyed somewhere? Like, why would that be in somebody's head in the first place?
Mhm.
Right.
Cool.
So then for me, I just say, hey, what would be the end result that I want to happen? And so then I look at it and I go, well, where is that, you know, piece breaking down? Maybe it's, you know, even in the front part, maybe it's their message up front says, hey, come and get a free coaching session. Maybe that's their lead, right? Hey,
Mhm.
are you a coach? Would you like to get a free coaching session? I mean, that right up front could just ruin the whole rest of the funnel.
For sure. And it is a challenge because through the funnel, we're always selling the next step. You know, you just want the click, you want them to fill out the form, you want them to come to the event, you want them to sign up for the call. But the whole time we've got to have that sort of ultimate promise of this is what you're going to get if you do go through all the way, and that needs to be consistent. So there's a bit of
And it's
tension
very
between that.
simple. It's very simple. It's problem and solution. I mean, that's really the basics of it. We have a problem and we show people the problem. So we talk to the people that know they have the problem, but we're also talking to people that have the problem that aren't aware that they have it, which is probably about 60% of the audience. So, you know, if you're not doing some sort of educational piece, you're missing like a whole huge section of your market. You know, if you're
Mhm.
not educating them on, you know, the problem that they have, you know, and that you're the solution for it, you know, do they know that they have the problem? And more importantly, do they know that you're the solution to that problem?
Yeah, awesome. And how does the problem relate to the offer? And
That's kind of the whole thing. I mean, really the problem is really the whole story. It's really the whole, it's like the hook, you know, it's really why people are there in the first place. Like, let's say it's lead generation. People are like, oh, I think I need, you know, better lead generation. Like, this is like a really good like topic for us because, you know, a lot of people overlook the sales aspect of it and they just look at like lead generation. Like right now, I bet you if you go to your email inbox, you'll probably find 100 emails over the last week that are promoting some sort of Facebook ads course, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
that's the hot thing. Facebook ads, learn Facebook ads, learn Facebook ads. Well, all that's going to be meaningless unless you know how to convert those leads into a sale, because,
Mm.
you know, that's the most important. That's the one thing that's going to be putting money in your pocket. But everybody keeps looking at the cause. It's not the problem. That's the cause, right? It's like, oh, I need another marketing solution. I need another marketing solution. You know, so when you really drill down the right problem to the right audience, then you have a message. And when you put that message in front of that audience and you're consistent along every part of your funnel, then it's much easier for people to say yes to your high-end offers.
Yeah, awesome. And really, when we think about it, marketing is all about getting the sale at the end. But it's so easy as entrepreneurs to get bogged down in the marketing and spend, you know, years getting good at landing pages or
Yeah.
Facebook ads, and forget the whole point is to get a sale at the end. And I think part of it is, of course, fear of getting on the phone and having someone possibly rejecting you. So, you know, you're sort of dealing with the pointy end that I think a lot of aspiring
But
and existing
that's the point, is
entrepreneurs struggle with.
if your marketing kind of addresses all that, then there shouldn't be a fear, because then people are excited to invest with you. You know, it's not like they're investing out of fear, they're investing out of faith. Like,
Mm.
you're not convincing somebody like, hey, give me your money, right? It's not like that. It's like, hey, you know, this might not be a good fit for you. Like, I don't want your money. Like, we don't take everybody. Like, prove to me why I should take you in. Like, that's a big difference in a
Mhm.
message than, hey, you know, I want to see if I can have a conversation with you to tell you about my business. And, you know, do you have an interest in this? You know, it's like, no, I don't have an interest in that. Get away from me. Right. It's like, because I'm attacking you. But if I'm like
Mhm.
trying to push you away, you know, I can be like, hey, you have this problem, but, you know, and I can totally solve it, but I don't know if this is going to work or not.
Mm.
like some
And it's
resistance.
a huge difference, isn't it? Because, and the tragedy is that the more you're struggling in business, the harder you find sales, or the more you need them, the more desperate you come across, and you really do repel people because you
Yeah.
can tell that you need the sale. And so when people are starting, if they're unsure about sales, starting in a new business, especially selling your own things, sometimes it's easier to sell a product that someone else has built, but you build your own product, and it's so much about you. It's easy to be uncomfortable and
Yeah.
hesitant or
Guilty.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Yes.
yeah, I think we're all guilty of that kind of stuff. If you haven't sold for anybody else, I have. That's why it's a lot easier for me that's why I've sold millions of dollars of stuff for, $100,000 packages, so.
For sure. And so look, I've asked my friends and clients and networks, what are your problems with sales? And we've got some really great questions. So I thought it'd be good to dive
Sure.
into some of those and get some
Yeah.
clarity on what are the recurring themes. And we sort of
Fire
went
away.
through these questions, got heaps, but broke them down to the recurring ones, and they were surprisingly consistent. So the first one was, if I'm starting from scratch and possibly on a budget, where do I start with all this stuff in terms of attracting and enrolling high ticket clients?
Mm. I mean, that's tough because that's not really my audience. My audience is like seven and multi-seven figure people. And that's the reason why I work with those people, because it's tough to get going. I mean, I just say chip away. I mean, you just have to try different things until something works, and that's the hard part about it, is when you're just starting out and you're on a budget, you've got to try things that you can't, like for instance, Facebook, instead of hiring somebody to, go through all that, you've got to learn how to do it. The good thing is that like pretty much any technology out there, they want you to succeed with their technology. So they have manuals and training, and YouTube, you can go, and I always tell people, like, if you're having trouble with something like that, you can become an expert in 90 days, and you can do it for free. And I call it like, even block out like a portion, like maybe call it like Technology Tuesday, where you just block out an hour on Tuesday, and all you do for that is you just spend 1 hour learning some technology. So if it's Facebook, then you just go in and you watch a bunch of Facebook YouTube videos. You go watch some, go to the training inside Facebook, and you go through their stuff. There's no reason that you can't learn that stuff. You can be an expert. The only reason that you're not able to do that stuff is because you're choosing not to. You're having an excuse. You have an excuse to say, oh, I'm not going to spend the time to go learn this. You can go learn it. If you're not going to hire a coach to teach you that, yeah, that's the offset. Like, we can certainly teach you how to do this stuff. We've condensed it down into steps, but where do you think we got it from? It's testing and tweaking. You go out there and you fail. You go out and you fail fast, and you learn what not to do. And that's how you do it. You just have, the faith, instead of having fear and not doing anything. And then, if I just posed the question to someone, like if they say, I don't know what to do, and you just do it. Like, that's the thing. It's like, you do whatever it takes. Like, if you want to succeed, you don't have excuses. You just do it. Right? If you can't afford a mentor to do that, you go look at places that you can. All the information you need is out there for free. The only reason why you're hiring people is because we have a specific process. We've condensed it down. Our steps are, could be similar, but they could be different. But there are specific things. Like,
and that gives you a proven process and quicker results, doesn't it? That's really the advantage, is that you're doing it the right way, or a way that has been
but you
shown
test
to
it
work
out.
before.
That's the thing. So, like the law of attraction, right? There's a lot of different steps on how to manifest things, right? So my steps might be similar to yours, but I might do things a little bit different, So you just test out, maybe something resonates with you. You do it more. And if not, then this is a great way to measure, because no one ever measures anything. Like, the way we measure things these days is how much money we have in our bank. If you're successful, you got more money. If you're not successful, you don't have money. So
Awesome. So look, the next question is, where do I find people willing to pay for my high-end programs? A lot of the audience have developed from their expertise a $5,000 or $10,000 program for a specific market that solves a specific problem. So they've got the product, but they don't know where to find the client, and also the other aspect is they're not sure how to offer it. So where do they find people? So how do these 7-figure coaches find clients?
Well, 98% of the leads for the clients that I've sold millions of dollars for have come from Facebook, like Facebook ads. So here's the thing I got to tell people, like the thing about price and money is if you have a problem with money and price, it's your problem. Like if it's your value. Like this is the thing that I've discovered is like really the difference between successful people and not successful people is the level of belief of self-value, of self-worth. And if like for instance, if you have a $1,000 package and someone's like, oh, you should be charging 10 grand, and you're like, wow, I don't know anybody that would be willing to pay that, and so like really what happens is we start kind of going down and down and down, and then eventually we get to a point where it's like, hey, come just get a free coaching session with me, right? And we start, and then it's like, then we get sucked. So everybody keeps having this mindset of going down and down and down, and it's like that's where your prices are is exactly your self-worth. It's exactly your self-value. That's what you're putting on yourself. And what you said, you mentioned something earlier, it triggered something that I thought of, is that when you when you go in a sales conversation, you win or lose that sale before you even speak to a person. Okay, like it's energy. You have this energy that's out there, and that energy right there is that self-worth. And it's the vibration that's going through the air. And whether you believe in that or not, it's there, and they will pick up on it. And so they'll go through and they'll listen, and you'll have a perfect conversation, and they'll say, wow, this sounds amazing, but I'm just not sure. Need to think about it. And then let me get back to you tomorrow. And then they never get back. And then you're like, damn, like I had an awesome conversation. They totally needed this. I could totally help them. But they said no. Why did they say no? It's because of that self-doubt. That's that self-worth. I had a conversation with a client, and he was like, I'm putting an event on, and I'm thinking about charging either $197, $297, or $397. And I was like, where's the zero? Like, how come you're not like, why are you charging so low? Like, like we typically charge $7,500 for 3-day events and more, for higher end events. I was like, you could easily charge, $1 to $2 to $3 grand for a 1-day event. That's your value. If you think you're worth $200, well, guess what kind of client you're going to get? And then that's the other thing too. It kind of goes back to that first question about, investing and stuff like that, is like the level that you're willing to invest into yourself. That's what the universe is going to supply back to you. So if you're the type of person that's like, no, I'm not going to hire a coach, I'm going to figure it out myself. Well, you're going to attract that kind of person. And when you're talking to them about, say, hiring you as a coach, they're going to say in their mind, this sounds pretty awesome, but I'm just not ready for this now. It's gonna be the same thing. I'm just gonna do it on my own. Like, great conversation, but I'll just go do it on my own. And those are the conversations that you're gonna have until you're really willing to step up and invest into yourself. The universe is gonna just keep supplying you what you're willing to put out. That's like the first law of attraction is give first in order to receive. So give out some value in order to get value back. It's counterintuitive, but that's also comes from that internal, like, be happy first in order to see happiness. Be successful internally first in order to see the success that you want. Like, you don't see the success first and then feel that you're successful. You feel successful now where you're at, because where you're at right now is exactly where you need to be.
For sure. And so mindset is a huge part of this. I wanted to pick up on something you said earlier, though, too, and just point out that you're closing these deals generally in a single conversation. So
Yeah,
they've
exactly.
been to an event, or
One
they've
to
been through
two,
some
yeah.
process, and you're having the conversation, and then it's, well, you know, if you're ready to invest today, then there's an offer for that. So that's worth our audience knowing that this isn't at the end of a 3-month chasing them up process, which a lot of us face when it, you know, for example, I do web development, and some of those leads, it might be a 10 or 20 grand project, which sounds great, but it can take months to win that job sometimes, and so there's a lot of sales
Yeah,
cost.
exactly. Which is why coaching and consulting is
Trying to write
amazing.
down. Yeah,
You
awesome.
know, the value there.
Terrific. So look, the next question that we had was, what's the sales process to convert these leads? And this ties it back a bit to the starting from scratch question, but really your top end clients, they pretty much all use the same funnel, don't they? You know, the type of process is pretty predictable. So perhaps you can just walk through the basic steps that people go through from that Facebook ad through to the sales conversation and ultimately the close. It doesn't have to be tons of detail, but it'll give people an idea of how it's done.
Yeah, so you know, there's like a 5-step process that we go through, and I've seen a lot of these different funnels built, and like a lot of these people have, like, you know, there's offshoots of different things, you know, like there's tripwires and all these different things that you can do, you know, the Jeff Walker 3 video, 4 video type thing. So there's all different variations, but the foundation and the core of everything is really like, can I share my screen? I've actually got an image that I can.
You should be able to. Yeah.
Let's see. Give me a second here. Let's go.
And I think it is so easy as an aspiring marketer to get lost in the launch funnels and the tripwires and survey funnels and things. But really, if you just learn the very basics toward a high ticket sale, you'll realize that everything is built on that. And there are some key components in there that if you kind of miss those, then it's really hard to make the whole thing work.
Yeah, okay, let's see. Give me a second here.
Cool.
All right, can you see that?
Yeah, I'll just make sure that's presented so it doesn't change over. Okay. That's good.
So, excuse me. So this is kind of the 5-step process that, you know, most of the clients that I have use, and you can see it's just kind of like moving through the different boxes here to get to the end conversation, the enrollment conversation. So, you know, like I said, I work backwards because this is where I'm hired to do my sales. And so that's the enrollment, right? I'm the guy that enrolls it. And then after here, this is where they, you know, it goes back and we fulfill it. If it's your program, this is where you're going to fulfill it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and Preston, I might just read through, get you to read through those steps, because some people are listening to audio only on a podcast. So
yeah, I'm going through them right now.
That'd be awesome.
Yep, I'm going through them right now. So, so the last step is the lead enrollment, and then the previous step, you know, if there's, like I said earlier, if there's a problem with the conversation, we have to go back to the offer, you know, the offer in our educational event. So essentially the offer is really like the end part of the third step, which is the education. And then before that's the lead capture and the lead attraction. So I'll just start from the beginning. Obviously we want to attract a lead, right? So that's our message, our ads, and when we have the right message and we put the right ad in front of the right audience, we're going to get a higher quality. So we attract the right audience by having the right message and putting the ad in front of them. And an ad could be anything. It's like, you know, not just a paid ad, but it could be, you know, an email, right? That could be an advertisement, or I mean, just anything that puts the message out there. So that's the first part of it, right? That's why it's so important to know who your audience is, because when you have the right message, even, and this is kind of goes even to like our 30-second elevator pitch. We can say like, I help this specific audience to, eliminate this problem so that they can have this benefit or this solution. I mean, that's kind of like really the whole foundation of our message to these people.
Cool.
So the lead attraction, and then that leads to the lead capture. So lead capture is like your landing page, right? This is where they opt in to get something, right? This is the reason why we do this, again, is like the law of attraction. We're giving something of value first in order for us to build a relationship with them. So, typically we find that the best things to offer here are like something that's just really highly valuable and it's easily consumable. So like a 1 or 2 or 3 page PDF is really good. We like to use blueprints. I have the perfect offer blueprint, and the perfect offer blueprint has 7 steps, and that fits nicely on one PDF page. They can print it out and have it handy. So that's something that is a way to capture the lead. So that's why we call that the lead capture. Then from there, we need to educate the lead. So this is the third step. It's the lead education. And so we like to use educational events like a webinar, or like this, a podcast is great, or a Google Hangout. It's just something that really informs people, right? Again, it's teaching people about the problem. So what's the problem that your audience has? It's around the high ticket sales process, right? The lead enrollment, lead generation, sales and marketing, right? So
yeah,
like there's thousands of people that teach sales and marketing, right? That's not new. That's not anything unique. And that's why our story is so important. So we put our story into these events. We talk about our background. We get people to, that's why at the beginning of here, you kind of gave a little introduction. You let people know about, achievements, or, just something, right? It's part of the story, right?
Yeah.
It kind of gives credibility to the person. So we do all of it. And in our educational event, we have different things like a beginning, a middle, and an end. Your beginning is just kind of the introduction. It's like, hey, I'm going to tell you why you're here. Here's how long you're going to be here. Here's what we're going to cover. And by the way, you might not know who I am. So, here's my story, listen to why I'm here doing this. And then, here's the steps in the middle. And at the end, we have some sort of offer, a call to action. And that usually involves in the high end, sales, it usually involves getting people into a enrollment conversation, and then that has its own set of there's a whole blueprint for that conversation. And so you go through and you do all these different steps on the conversation. So this is kind of like the whole foundation, right? So again, the fourth part, the lead offer, that's kind of the end part of your educational event. That's your call to action. And I got to tell you, like that right there, the reason why I have the offer as its own separate section is because it's really the most important part of the whole process here. This is where I find that most people are losing the sale and the enrollment conversation. Their offers just suck. And that's a problem, and if you can improve like I always say, a weak offer leads to weak clients or leads to weak leads. And if you have a strong offer, where do you think that's going to lead to? Right. So this is really the whole, out of all that, remember I said I reverse engineer everything. So from that, this is what I find, the offer, and that also includes like, things like what we talked about earlier, pricing, right? How do we price this? What kind of packages are we going to put together? And there's, typical things that are offered. And we know also that there's, different levels that people invest in. So, going back to that question about price, really it's your value, so your price determines really the level of client that you're going to get. So we always say start high. There's always a real high end one-on-one. There's usually some sort of like lower priced like group coaching, and then there's some sort of digital or event, 3 to 5 day event or something like that, and that's what you're offering to them. And usually on those we put higher prices on them. We find like $10,000 and under are good for like events, like 3 to 5 day events, and even coaching programs. That's also good value. There's $2,500, $500, monthly fees, whatever you're comfortable with, and move into that. But that's really that whole fourth step, and then the fifth one against the enrollment conversation.
Awesome. Now, one thing we haven't really touched on is why it's so good having high-end clients, and there really are huge benefits to both you and to the client, because it's easy for someone who's stuck charging $200 and feeling like it, still getting no's, to think, wow, that would just be a rip-off, paying 10 grand for something. But there's a huge difference in the outcomes and benefits on both sides, aren't there? Perhaps you can just expand on that, because it leads to the next question too.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to what we talked about just now about that internal value system that you have. I mean, think about it. If you're not willing, like if you're trying to find the cheapest thing out there, like you're going to attract that kind of person that's looking for cheap things. Like until you really sit down and you invest, I mean, like if you want to charge 10 grand, for your services, you probably should start thinking about investing into your own coach that's going to cost 10 grand. Because until you do that, you're not going to be able to mentally, be at that level. Like that vibe is going to be there. You're going to be like, yeah, I want to charge 10 grand. I know I'm worth it, but you're telling the universe, but I'm not willing to invest into myself. So if you're not willing to invest into yourself at that level, why the heck would anybody else want to invest with you at that level?
But then people value what they pay for too. So, if I get something for free, or, I buy that $200 course, we all know what happens. It ends up on a hard drive, never opened.
Yeah.
Whereas when you put the money in, I know I've sort of invested at that 10 grand plus price point, and you build your life around it, because that's a big commitment, and you follow it through, you take the action, and you get the results, and you get the transformation, rather than having one more course on your hard drive, which isn't just gathering dust.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I actually had a client. He lives in Germany. Flew in for like a VIP day. Came out here, and he said the same thing. He was like, I've spent thousands of dollars on courses, and I've done this, gone to events. He's like, but what I need is somebody to basically just walk me through this and tell me, hey, here's step A. Do this. Go here. Click this button. Do this. Like that's really why we hire coaches, is because we can't do it ourselves. We can't be accountable to ourselves, as we know, like these New Year's resolutions, they always go away really quickly because we can't hold ourselves accountable. But if I say, Dallas, I'm going to be here on time. I'm going to be here on time for this call. I could say, I'll show up, when I show up, and that's not right. If I make a commitment to you and I say I'll be there at 6 or 9 or whatever, I am going to be there, and you're going to expect me to be there, right? So it's a lot easier. But if I say to myself, I'll be like, yeah, I got to clean the house, and then I put it in my calendar at 8 a.m. And then 8 a.m. rolls around, and I'm like, but there's a game on. I kind of want to watch the game. I'm going to go, do that. It's kind of like where are your priorities? It kind of goes back to the business sense. Is like, again, like I said, if this is really important to you, you'll do whatever it takes. So you will find a way, and really the way that we do that is we hire mentors.
Yeah, sure. So the next question was, how do I overcome that's expensive objection?
You've got to just prove to them that you're worth it. You got to show them, it's really confidence. Like, it's not about showing your product or service. It really has nothing to do with you. Like, that's the big, if I can really share anything that, if you take away anything, like, where I see most salespeople failing is that they're trying to sell their program, product, or service. And you can't do that because you're going to just convince people. And so if you're trying to convince people, what's the only thing that they can fall back on is price. Well, this isn't, it's not valuable. When you go through like the enrollment conversation that I have, like they can't say, like I never hear people say like, well, I mean, yeah, they say it's too expensive, but we already find that out. Like we already talked to them. And when they say that to me, it's not like an excuse just to get off the phone. Like we've already explored all the options and they literally cannot afford the program, And so there's no reason for me to, keep pushing that. So we find that out in the conversation. There's a lot of, it's really the whole process. Like when you go through and like, for instance, how did we start off this conversation? How did you introduce me? Like what was the kind of one of the big things that you said that kind of stands out with one of the things that is there?
Yeah, cool. So you're a best-selling author and you've sold millions of dollars worth of coaching and you're one of the top enrollment specialists in the world.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's like, wow, millions of dollars of stuff. It kind of stands out, So sorry, I kind of got off track there. I forgot.
That's cool. So a lot of it is pre-positioning too. Like some people just shouldn't be on the call in the first place either. We've got part of your process is also qualification, isn't it? So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really what that whole funnel is for. It's pre-qualification. I mean, the reason why we have those boxes there, those are different steps. So think about it. If someone goes through step 1 and then they get to the 5th step, they're missing a bunch of pre-qualification steps. If they go through step 1, so like I think you mentioned something earlier, each of these steps has their own calls to action. So like you said, there's an overall general thing. Yes, we want to sell our coaching program, like our high-end coaching program, and that's the big picture, but each of these small steps has their own call to action in order to get to that. So for instance, the ad, right? The ad has to basically get people, the call to action is to get them to that landing page. And then that landing page, the call to action is essentially just to get them to put their email address in, nothing else. You're not selling anything. You're not talking about anything other than put your email address in. And then when they get that, the whole next call to action is to get them to what? The educational event. Right. And then that whole educational event is designed to lead them through a series of steps to get them where? To the offer, so that they can hear and say, wow, is this for me? Yes or no. Did I find that valuable? Yes or no. Do I find enough, value in what I just spent an hour listening to go to the next step, which is, hey, if we position this correctly, it's, hey, look, I'd love to work with you, but I can't work with everybody. Right. So there's some qualifications. If you want to go to this next step, meet these qualifications. And then what do you think those qualifications are? Well, what did we talk about in the very, very beginning? What's in the first step? Who are we talking to? The audience. We have our steps of our ideal audience. So we pick that out. We say, look, if you hear people saying it's expensive, so guess what you say in the enrollment conversation? Hey guys, if you're just starting out and you think that this is expensive, please don't apply. Please don't jump on the call. You're just going to waste our time. So if anything, I would say that the whole big picture isn't to get people to enroll into your higher end programs. I would say the whole big picture is to weed out the people that aren't a good fit to even have that conversation and even go there. Because if you're going to if you have 100 people, if you have 100 people and you say, hey, who of you has an interest in this? And then these, 20 people raise their hand. You're like, cool, you 20 people go over here. You 80 people, see you later. I don't need to talk to you. And guess what? Now I'm going to just focus my message on these 20 people. That's the audience, right? That whole marketing funnel is designed to find these people. But really, it's to weed out those people that we don't want to talk to. Yes. That's the kind of shift. It's like these little subtle shifts when we think of things like this. Like my coaching client that came in, I mean, I just kind of go through some of these little steps and I'm like, hey, this, and he goes, oh my God, like, I didn't see it. Like he's doing something every day and he's like, he hired, it's so funny. Like, I'll just share this with you because it's cool. It's a story, but it also goes back to like he's like, so I need to hire a secretary. So he's like, yeah, so, I went through, I put an ad in the paper, and then the lady gets on and I interviewed her. And then, like the first person, it wasn't a good fit. So then the next thing comes through, and then that person was really good. And he's like, guess what? I got this person starting next week, and it's going to free up all this time. And I was like, awesome. I was like, so why did you hire me? And he's like, because I need help with my funnel. I was like, but you just created a funnel right there. You just created an ad. You had a landing page. Someone contacted you, had an enrollment conversation, and you enrolled somebody. You weeded out somebody that wasn't a good fit, and you had an enrollment conversation. And he's like, I don't get it. I go, what are you doing here in your coaching? You're doing an ad to a landing page to get someone to this, to have an enrollment conversation. And he goes, oh my God, like so simple. He's like, now I see, like light bulb, it just went on.
Yeah.
So like that kind of stuff, like that's one of the reasons too we hire coaches. Like that's why we spend the money. That's why we charge high fees, because we want those kind of clients. We want the clients to come in and go, oh, okay, your fee's 10 grand a month. Well, can I pay 3 months in advance? Like that's the kind of people we want to work with, right?
Yep.
Confidence. It's value. It comes back to the value that if you're not confident in what you're going to, give out, how likely do you think that someone else is going to be confident in what you've got?
Awesome. One of the things I picked up there too was with every little offer along the way, we say, if you are and that is the qualification. If you are a business owner who wants to grow their business and double the size of your business, and no one's going to think, oh well, I'm going to make $1 million by investing 200. It's I'll
share one of my little secrets that goes around that if you'd like.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
So this is kind of goes back to that question about like how do you counteract like something that's expensive, when you talk to somebody. So when I get to the point of conversation, like I say, hey Dallas, I think I can help you out. I've got this package. I can certainly help you with your enrollment conversation and generating leads and, putting an event on together. I can teach you how to generate $100,000 of, in a weekend, right? 6 figures in a weekend. So I can help you with that. But before I tell you about that, I've got to know that you're committed to this, like, because I'm looking for, someone that's going to be like my next case study. And so I want somebody that's really committed to this. Like my best case studies are people that are committed to taking action now. And, they're tired of the results that they've been getting and they're ready for a change and a transformation now. So Dallas, let me ask you, is that person you?
Yeah, I see.
So right there, nobody has ever said no to that question. And now if they come back and they go, well, I'm just not really ready right now, you can go, well, wait a minute. Like earlier, you just told me that you're an action taker. You're ready for this now. So what's the problem? Is it me? Do you not believe that my solution will solve your problem? I mean, you can challenge people. Like this is another thing. You're not convincing people to buy your program. You're challenging people to step out of their bullshit. The story that they've been telling themselves, I call it the little voice. And what you're doing is you're the bigger voice. And you're coming in and you're like, hey, you can tell yourself that story over and over again, but you're not fooling me. Like you're here for a reason, and if you're not really willing to take action on this now, you're just lying to yourself. So are you lying now or were you lying back then?
Yeah. So, and we're scared, aren't we, of stepping out of our comfortable mediocrity.
Yeah. And it's really like, that's the difference between the type of sales that I do is I don't convince you I don't be like, well, look, my program's totally going to help you. I can totally get you this. I don't give a shit. I tell you, when I sell my high-end programs, I don't even talk about the program. Like literally, like this is how I sell it. Hey, Dallas, I can teach you how to do the enrollment conversation. I can help you generate leads. I can teach you how to put an event on and generate 6 figures together. That's it. Investment's only 10 grand. Are you ready to become my next success story? I don't even talk about it. Like most people are like, yeah, so module 1 is this. And, week 1, we're going to cover this. And we're going to, you're going to learn this and this and this. I tell you, that's boring. It's boring. It's logic. And people don't want logic. Have you ever heard the thing that says people buy emotionally, but they justify it with logic?
Yes,
Well,
definitely.
that's an actual equation. If you look at it, people justify with logic. So they justify, meaning just a tiny, tiny little bit of logic is needed to justify the whole emotion, which is why we do educational events, which is why we tell stories. Emotions sell. We get people emotionally involved, but we also have the logic, and the logic says, hey, look, here's what it is. It's, it's 8-week program. We're going to teach you a couple things here. I've got some bonuses. I don't even want to tell you about the bonuses. You're going to get them, but it's just going to overwhelm you. You're going to get some cool stuff. Like, that's how I sell $100,000 packages. Literally, that's it. You get all these bonuses, but I'm not going to overwhelm you with the details. You get it, like, right? They're facts, so you can go check it out later. Like, but you get it. So my pitches are like 30, 60, 90 seconds. That's how much I talk about the actual, like, our stuff. Everything else in that whole thing it's about them. It's about their problem. It's about has nothing to do with me.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll move on to the next question. We could talk about that all day. There's so much gold here, Preston. I'm loving it.
Oh yeah, this is awesome.
Tell us how you get people to say yes on the call, though, and because I'm sure we've all had that experience, and people are saying all the right things, and they're excited, and it sounds great, and then they want to think about it, or they want to ask their partner.
I just kind of went through it. I think that what we just went through really answers that. Is like, I don't get people. I don't sell anything. I inspire people to step out of their bullshit. Like, that's it. I challenge them. I inspire them. If someone's going to come to me and go through that whole process, right? If I just found out all about you, you just told me that you're committed to making a change in your life, and you're here for a reason, right? Like really, they're there to make a change, but so what's holding them back? Is it just the money? Is it me? So challenge them. So is it the money? Why is it the money? Oh, because you've never invested that much money before? Yeah, it's scary. I know it's scary. You got to challenge these people. But, what do you think's going to happen when your clients come to you and you ask them to invest this same amount? You're feeling the exact same thing that they're feeling. And so what would you want to happen? Would you want them to be scared, turn away? Or would you want them to step up and say yes, to finally make a different decision? That's what I do. I get people to make a different decision. Like, they're always they're always doing the same thing. Oh, I can't do that. Well, how do you know? What if we can come up with an option that gets it to you? Yeah, it's 10 grand, but what if you put 2 grand down and then we help you out with payments? Like, or who knows? Like, you don't even know. Like, this is the other thing. People are like, oh, 10,000. I don't have $10,000. So people are like, well, damn. Well, could you do half now? What if we did half? Oh, I could do half. Well, cool. Then when can you do the other half? Well, I can maybe break that out into the next 2 months. Deal. Right? We work with people on this stuff.
Cool.
Like, one of my clients, he was like, let me see how I'm not going to tell that now. So we just challenge people, that's what I like to say. Just get them out of there. Like, oh, I don't have the money. Well, what are you talking about? Like, is it just your checking account? Well, do you have any other accounts? Do you have savings account? What kind of liquid stuff do you have? Do you have any investments? Ask people these questions. Do you have anything liquid? Like, do you own a house? Maybe you can get equity out of your house. Have you ever thought about that? How about a loan? Have you ever thought, how's your credit? Have you ever gone to the bank to get a loan? Like, I've had people, when I was selling $100,000 packages, I've had people talk to me and they're like, no, I don't have that money. And, like, in their mind, they had like a few grand in their checking account, but they had a savings account that was like savings for retirement, and they had 100,000 in there. And, I'm like, well, what's that for? It's for my future. Well, what are you doing this business for? For my future. So you don't see a relationship here? And so now the light bulb goes on, but then he's like, yeah, but that's all the money I have in there. And so we're like, well, you could certainly do payments, but, if you make the payment in full, what did we say earlier? You're stepping up. Like, would you want your clients to pay in full, or would you want your clients to make payments? Like, invest the way that you want your clients to invest with you. And he said, you're right. I'm going to take it all out. And this is the other thing. We're not getting people to invest out of fear. We're getting them to invest in faith. So he takes the investment, he makes it. And guess what? Within 90 days, he made like 3 times that back. His first event that he puts on, he made that back. He made like $250,000 his first event that he puts on.
Wow.
So
Now,
that's the other thing.
The key though is, Preston, you've already established that this is the most important thing to them. That's what the call's about, isn't it? It's figuring out why does this matter?
Yeah, like again, if I'm talking to that person, they've gone through that funnel. They've gone through, remember, 80% of that funnel is going to make or break your success. So you say all this stuff to them. You know, you have testimonials. Hey, I've got this person, John, who was in the same position. He was sitting there. You know, like if you look at my stuff, I've got one guy, Gerald So. He was making $2,000 a month. I consulted with him for you know, for a little. He saw me speak at an event. I taught him like the steps of my enrollment process. He goes out, he has a conversation, and he's like, hey, I'm getting stuck with this guy at this $15,000 package. I'm trying to get him to invest. So we talked for like 30 minutes. And then within 24 hours, he closed $45,000. So 3 deals he closed. And then within 9 days, he did $105,000. So like, that's the kind of stuff too. We showcase that stuff and we go, look, you could be like Gerald. You know, Gerald was doing $2,000 a month and now he's doing 6-figure months. Like like here's the thing. If I could show you a way to make $1 million, what's that worth to you? Is it worth $1,000? Is it worth, you know, like other people have used the same formula to make millions of dollars, right? So the process works. So if you can have access to that process, is it worth $5,000, $10,000? Would you pay $25,000 to have the map to lead you to a 7-figure business? How about $100,000? Can you start seeing now how the value works with that? Like if I go the other way and I'm like, you know, it doesn't work. The value needs to be there. That's how we showcase our value.
Now, what about if the offer isn't a money-making offer though? So if it's a relationship coaching or life coaching, because I know you've actually sold a lot in this space as well.
It's the same thing.
How do you position value there?
The guy from Germany, he doesn't teach people how to make money. He's a relationship expert.
Okay.
So it works the same thing, you know, like you just have to tweak it a little bit. It's kind of like the 80-20 rule or the 90-10 rule. Like all this, like 80 to 90% of all this stuff's going to be the same and you're going to tweak it, which is why I also say, like, if you have multiple niches, like let's say you do have, you know, a money making niche or a relationship niche or something, like let's say that you do that. Build one funnel out first, because that whole funnel is going to be very similar. Then you can just come in and just tweak the 20% for the new funnels. So it's really that, like 80% is going to be the same, and then you just tweak it out to fit that niche. So instead of saying, you know, hey, you know, you're going to make, you know, $1,000, you know, $100,000 a month, you know, how about you're going to have the best relationship of your life? You know, if you're looking to have the best relationship of your life, this is what I told my client. What are you looking to sell? What's the problem? They don't have good relationships. Well, what's your solution? I can teach them how to have a great relationship. So, okay, what I'm hearing you say is you're going to teach them how to have a perfect relationship. Okay, so what kind of blueprint could you create? The perfect relationship blueprint? Well, guess what? The domain name was available. So he created the perfect relationship blueprint. He put his steps down in a little blueprint. And then what did he do? He followed those steps of the funnel. He just said, hey, if you're looking to have your perfect relationship, put your email address in and get the, you know, 5 steps to the perfect relationship. And you can get it at perfectrelationshipblueprint.com. Right? Awesome. I mean, it's simple. It's the message goes right to the right audience. Hey, are you looking for a divorce attorney? Great. Download this before you hire your next divorce attorney. You want to download this free report or this, you know, divorce attorney blueprint, the perfect divorce, you know, the perfect attorney blueprint.com, right? So you could change these out for pretty much any niche. I prefer to work with the make money niche. It's just my preference. It's a lot easier, I think, to sell $100,000 and $200,000 packages when you're, you know, this is the kind of the conflict I have with my client. It's like, you know, like I ask him, like, okay, so, or he asked me, like, who would really spend $100,000 to have the perfect relationship? I go, well, think about it. There's people out there that would, and if you position yourself as that person that can do that, then people will start finding you and they'll pay it. But you got to remember, there's buyers at every level.
It's cheaper than divorce.
Yeah, exactly, right? See, so this is actually one of the points of it is your cost of inaction. What's your cost of inaction? Well, you might get divorced. So if you don't figure out how to have the perfect relationship right now, what's a divorce going to cost you? Oh my God, I'm worth this much. It's going to cost me this much. Well, great. My coaching is only 10 grand a month, or if you pay in full, it's just $100,000. Mm-hmm. Oh, you can't afford that level? Well, great. If you're not at that level yet, like this is what I teach my clients is that you got to picture every one of your clients as that $100,000 client. Even if you're not offering even if you're just charging $2,500 a month instead of 10 grand a month, like you still got to say, look, I'm $100,000. My time is worth $100,000 per client. I'm willing to give you a, don't use the word discount, but a scholarship is a much better word, because most people go to university and that's a kind of common word, but I'm willing to give you a scholarship. I hold out scholarships for people. Oh, you can't afford $10,000 a month? What can you afford? Hey, I could probably do $2,500 a month. Hey, in your mind, is that worth it for you to do that? So guess what? I'll tell you what, a couple times a month, I offer a scholarship. I think I totally can help you out. If you're serious and you're ready to do this now, I'm willing to give you the scholarship of $7,500. Are you ready to do this now with me? Great. What's your email address? I'll send you the invoice. Or what's your PayPal, or what's your credit card number? So
cool.
Just roll right into it.
That's a key point, isn't it? That you get the payment at the time. If you want to close a sale on the phone, you need to get the payment, because otherwise they disappear. I'm
going to instill this to you guys. The word is now. Do not think, this is why I sell so much, and I sell 4 times the amount of the other salespeople. And the reason is because in my mind, everything that I say is now. Are you ready to do this now? Are you ready to make the change and have a transformation now? Are you tired of the results you've been getting and you want different results now? Well, great. We're going to do this now. And if I have different ways to do it, I just keep trying stuff. It's testing and tweaking. Like, someone's not ready to say, well, I don't know. They're kind of, hey, are you in front of your computer? Great. What's your email address? I'm going to send you a link. And I don't send anything in the email other than the link. There's nothing there. I just put in the subject link, and then I just paste the link and I hit send, and then I instruct them, and I'll say, hey, I'm gonna send that link to you, and when you get that email, open the email. I want you to click on the link. When that new window opens, please let me know when that has loaded up. And I just shut up, and then they'll do it. They follow my instructions, and then they go, okay, the window's open, and guess what the window is? It's the credit card form. It's like, it's not a sales page. I don't believe in sales pages. Your sales pages don't exist. Like, I send them the payment page, right? So they're looking at name, credit card number, and 1997, or $2,500 a month for 3 months, or $7,500 one-time payment, right? Or whatever the fee is. And they're looking right at it. And all I say is, great, fill out the information, go down to the bottom, click the pay now button, and let me know when you're done. And I shut up. I kid you not, I've had people that were on the fence go through the process and they go, okay, I'm done. Sometimes that's as simple as it needs. Remember I said, people want you to walk them through the process. That's simple as it is. Sometimes you just need people, just tell them what to do. Look, I can help you. The little voice in their head is going, no, no, no. Be the bigger voice, and you say, look, I know I can help. If you know you can help them, like, don't deceive them, right? You got to be honest, and like, we're not here to deceive people and just get their money, because that's much worse, right? If you can help them, though, you should do whatever you can to get those people to enroll, without like strangling them, get over there and strangling them. But you got to challenge these people. Like, come on, this is something that you need. You're here for a reason. Like, don't go back to the old ways. As your trusted advisor, I can't honestly and ethically let you go back to the life you just said you don't want, right? I can't do that. I have an obligation as your trusted advisor to enroll you now to get you to that life that you just said that you want. You're going to make the same decision and continue that path. I can't let that happen. You can make $1 million. you know, maybe not. I can't guarantee you're going to make a cent, but what I can give you is the blueprint that has made it. And the only difference is you. You're either going to walk, I can walk that path with you, but you have to walk it too. Like we can walk side by side, but you got to take your own steps. I can't walk up the stairs for you. You know, you got to lift your foot. I could show you how to get there. I can show you the path. I can show you how I can even show you other people doing it. But at the end of the day, you know, you're either going to do the same decision that you always do, or you're going to make a different decision right now. So Dallas, what do you want to do?
Hell yes.
It's either a hell yeah, or it's 100% hell yeah, or it's nothing at all. If you're ready to invest, you're going to be 100%. I say this to people, like they're like, let's do it. I go, it doesn't sound like you're very enthusiastic about this. Like, I only want people that are 100% into this. Like, are you really into this? Is this going to be something? They're like, yeah. I go, give me a hell yeah. They're like, hell yeah. I'm like, that's it. All right. You get people. That's how you commit people, right? You get them committed. Like, is there anything that's going to help, like, cause you to back out? No. Great. So you're 100% committed? Great. I want you to say it loud. I'm 100% committed into this. Get them to say that. Do shit that other people don't do, right? Step out. This is what's going to stand out. That's why I'm so successful with that stuff.
This is fantastic stuff, Preston. Well, look, if people want to get some more of this gold and work with you directly, you've got a special offer for people who have an existing funnel, so they need to be sort of all up and running, but you help them improve it, help them with the enrollment conversation. Tell us a bit about what people in that situation can do.
Yeah, so that's it's called the Perfect Offer Blueprint, and really that's the kind of the specialty niche that I've been in. Like, all the clients that hire me, all the stuff that's out there. Like, again, my clients are the people that teach marketing funnels, right? They teach sales processes. They teach high-end sales. So why the heck would they hire me if they're already doing millions of dollars? Because they've got gaps in their funnels. Like, it's like, you know, the third party coming in, like you can only see so much of your business, but me coming in as a third party, I can see things that, like, you know, that I've seen from these other businesses. That's another point too. Like, a lot of people, they become successful with their business and they go out and try to coach. That's one big thing that's different. My stuff works for multiple niches and multiple people. It's not just something that I developed for myself. It does work for myself, but multiple niches. So that's the other thing too. It'll work for multiple niches, you know. But perfectofferblueprint.com. If you go through that funnel, there's my perfect offer blueprint. So what I do there is I give you everything. Like, I give you all the steps of everything that we just went through on a PDF that you can use as a cheat sheet. And then I also have a video. It's like a little over an hour. I think it's like 75 minutes, but I break down all the steps of the offer. So if you're someone that's doing webinars or videos, like, you're going to want this. So you can take all this information and not hire me. And the reason why I want to give you all that, because I want your success story. I want you to come back and be like, yeah, I learned all this stuff from Preston's free content and I made all this money. Like, that's the stuff that happens, right? So I want to hear that story from you guys. But at the same time, right, like, if you're getting all that stuff for free, like, what's it going to be like when you actually work with me? Like, when we sit down and we do this, like, you and you're asking me questions. Like, what if this is your business and you're like, hey, Preston, you know, I had trouble with this client, or I've got an event coming up, or, you know, whatever, you know, and you're just like, I need you to, like, walk me through, what do I do? And you're like, I'm stuck. And then you're like, oh, thank God, I know what to do. Clarity. Like, so then that's what I ultimately want. That's my big picture, is I have a service that I do that for you. I'll go through and I'll do like a critique of your whole funnel, your offer, and I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to make changes. And then I also have a coaching program that we can, you know, for the people that want to meet like weekly, you
awesome.
know, we can hop on a call and do that. But go through the Perfect Offer Blueprint funnel, you know, go through that, see if that's something that resonates with you.
And,
if you want more information.
I've gone through that training and it is awesome. I still like the PDF. It's only a few pages, but there's so much information in there. I still haven't implemented it all, but there's the video training is super value packed. So anyone serious about selling needs to get onto the perfectofferblueprint.com. And Yeah, look, Preston, thanks so much for sharing your expertise
Yeah, this is fun. Thanks for
enthusiasm.
having me.
Yeah, for sure. And as you say, you're about inspiring people to take action to get what they want, to be their
Exactly.
selves as
That's what
well.
I would leave people with. I would say just, take the information from this and apply it. Practice the stuff, like don't be scared. Just be scared of not failing. Like that's how you're going to succeed. So I challenge you to get out there, take action. Even imperfect action is better. Than not taking action at all, and just get some results, get some data, get something to measure against instead of saying, oh, I don't know if this will work. I think this will work. Know it, just do it and try it. Right? Do it. That's what I challenge you to do.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. And I will talk to you again soon. And check out the Perfect Offer Blueprint to get your free PDF and free training from Preston. Guarantee you'll love it. And I'll see everyone next time on Digital Influence. Thank you.